Welcome, everybody, again. Today, you will be learning about monuments. Monuments, why we put up monuments, or why our forefathers put up monuments. When did this start? And what are some of the monuments that we put up, or our forefathers put up? And what do they mean? And why exactly do we do this? And we're going to be learning this about monuments from my favorite book recently, the Book of the Law. So the monuments is in chapter 9, highlighted there in the Book of the Law, page 110 and 111. What exactly is a monument? According to the English dictionary, there's 6 to 8 meanings of a monument, but the one I want to focus is this one highlighted, the third one. It's a lasting evidence, a reminder, an example of someone or something notable, or something great, or someone great. That's a monument. It's also seen as a memorial stone. Pay attention to the word stone. That's because stone usually cannot be altered or destroyed unless with a heavier force than the stone itself. So hence we have the saying it's set in stone, meaning it's not changeable. So a memorial stone or a building erected in remembrance of a person or event. So you get the idea of a monument. It could be a physical building, or it could be somebody who is so iconic that you think of them as a memory or a lasting reminder of something. So on the left here, I was looking up this word monument in the King James Version, and it didn't show up. It's not used. I guess by that time, they didn't have a translation for it in English. So it's not in the King James Bible, KJV. But then I saw that they did have it in the New King James, and these are the two places in the New King James Version where they have it. And in the first case here, it's actually referring to a place. He set up a place for himself. You know, he set up a monument for himself. No, he didn't set up a monument. He set up a place. But in the second instance here, Absalom set up an actual monument, you know, like a physical stone, something that he put up. So this word clearly was not in the English vocabulary, but it was in the Bantu vocabulary, as we will see soon. So what do we see in the Book of the Law about monuments? There are 6 instructions, numbered 1, 2, 3, until 6. Let me introduce you to them, and then we'll get into each very quickly hereafter. So the first instruction, which is I consider the main instruction, whenever or whensoever Tatanzambi, your Most High, manifests himself unto you in majesty and might, or he walks with you, okay? Whenever he manifests himself unto you, you're supposed to set up a monument. We're going to get into the details of it. Secondly, you're supposed to preserve the memory of the chosen of the Most High, who have been faithful in their ministry. Preserve the memory of Kimbangu, of Toko, of Isaiah, of all the people that have gone before us. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joshua, you name them. Those of ancient times and those of today. You set up a memory on behalf of those individuals. Build monuments to their memory. Erect pillars and tablets and inscribe. That is key. You have to write about what those people did, their praises. Also, when the Most High Tatanzambi gives you a victory over your enemies, a victory, commemorate it with monuments and inscriptions on those monuments. Fifth, over the graves of your persecutors and blasphemers. These are your enemies. And they who shed the blood of the innocent. Okay? At these places of the abominations, you shall pile rough stones. We're going to get into that in detail. But you mark these places of your enemy. And last but not least, you teach your children the meaning of these memories, of these monuments, what they mean. So that is chapter 9 in an overview sense. Let's get a little bit into the detail of each of this. Okay, this is the first one. Whensoever Tatanzambe manifests himself unto you in majesty and might, or walks with you. That's the first point. In majesty and might, or he walks with you, and reveals unto you wisdom and knowledge. Okay? When any of those things happens, you shall erect unto him, not to the Statue of Liberty of some person, not to some earthly achievement. No, you erect it unto him. Pillars, tablets, this is stones with inscriptions, enduring monuments. Make sure they're not going to be wiped out by the elements of rain, sun, or whatever it is. No, they got to be enduring. And you make inscriptions upon them. Inscriptions could be drawings of the events that you're remembering. It could be writings. So think about all the places that you've been or that you've seen where there are monuments with artwork on them or their writings. And you shall write and inscribe thereon his dealings with you, his blessings and mercies, and his great power and glory, which he has revealed unto you, that it may remain a witness to the generations to come. This is why we set up monuments, so that there is evidence, there is a witness for the generations to come, and that they may know that your Nzambi is Nzambi, and there's none else. So think about it. If we were seeing and growing up with these monuments, we would have this history preserved. We would have the physical evidence of it, and we would easily know and understand that our Nzambi is the real Nzambi, and there's no other. But if people have been hiding our monuments, if they've been destroying our monuments, carrying them over to their museums, how then would our children and our children's children ever know about this monument and their history? They wouldn't. Therefore, our children will be more distanced from Nzambi. And they will be exposed, our children would be exposed to some other kind of God with a small g. And they would be easily deceived. So we got to keep building our monuments unto Tatanzambi. We're not building statues. We're not building statues for men. We are building monuments where we record what Tatanzambi has done, where he has exposed or he has manifested his majesty and might, where he has walked with us and revealed to us his wisdom and knowledge. Let's look at a second point. You shall preserve the memory of the chosen of Nzambi, who have been faithful in their ministry and in the calling whereunto Tatanzambi, your Most High, has called them, fresh with thy children and thy children's children. Gotta keep this memory fresh. Think about Kimbangu. Think about Simotoko. These guys existed within the last 100 years, some of them just 40 years ago. Yet, the enemy has been trying to get rid of their evidence and their memory. No, we have to preserve it. It is up to us to preserve it. If we cannot preserve it and we are still within 100 years of their lifetimes, it is going to be erased in years to come. What if nobody preserved the history that we have in the scriptures, both those in the Bible and those outside? Would you know about Moses? Would you know that there was actually a sea of reeds and not a Red Sea? What if they never set up those altars? We would never find that altar in Mamre. Would never ask ourselves, why is this place fenced out? What exactly are those stones? We wouldn't. We wouldn't even think to go there. But because they put up an altar, they named the place Mamre, we were able to have that memory kept fresh throughout the years, despite the enemy's work. In the same light of this second point, build monuments to the memory of those people that the Most High has chosen, and erect pillars and tablets. Pillars are significant because you cannot hide them. You know, I went to DC about a month ago, and you all know what they call the monument. It's a really humongous, I don't know how tall it is. It's a humongous pillar. You can see it from any corner of DC, and it's there to draw the attention of anybody who comes to the city, so that when you go there, you find out about all the other monuments they put around them. They stole the idea from our ancestors. Our ancestors are the ones who started erecting these pillars. Okay? A pillar serves as a landmark. You see it from far away, and it draws your attention, and you go closer to it. And if you go there, you'll find inscriptions either on it, or you'll find stone tablets that have inscriptions. These are not just tablets that don't contain anything. And like I joked before the other time, looks like our forefathers had the technology that we call tablets today, right? So on those tablets, you inscribe their praises, the work that they did. So this is the time to remember to do this, so that our next generation and the one after will have a record set in stone, literally. You shall remember. Okay, let me keep reading here. You inscribe their praises, their works, their faith, and their sufferings thereon. And when you behold their monuments, you shall remember them and talk of their righteousness. We're being told, talk of their righteousness and teach your children to walk in the righteous ways of those whose memories you're preserving. I think of Kimbangu in this instance. I've read about Kimbangu, and there was a time those Portuguese priests were jealous of the way he was healing people, and they came into a marketplace and they started telling the locals that this guy is demon possessed, he's not of God, he's doing witchcraft and sorcery, that's how he's healing people. And the people asked the missionaries from Portugal, then why don't you heal? He's only healing, he's not doing anything wrong. If you're saying he's evil, how come he's healing? And if you're stopping him from healing, then you heal us. And Kimbangu himself challenged them and said, go ahead and heal them. In fact, there's a dead body here. Why don't you go ahead and pray and resurrect this man? They prayed and prayed and prayed, and nothing happened. And Kimbangu prayed, and that man came back to life. And people got up who had come there who were crippled, and they got up and left their crutches and walked without the crutches. And there's a picture of a pile of crutches, wooden ones, stacked up, as evidence that Kimbangu did what he did. He healed those people by the power of the Most High. He was walking righteously. We should talk about his righteousness. That's what we're being told here. Build monuments for them and talk about their righteousness and teach it to our children. What else are we being told? When the Most High gives you a victory over your enemies, you shall commemorate it with monuments and inscriptions. How many individual victories have you had? Many, I'm sure. Do you commemorate it even with a post on social media? You should. Do you commemorate it and build a plaque and put it somewhere in your house or in your compound or somewhere? If you don't, we should. I haven't. I know I'm going to start doing that. Imagine when your great-grandchildren read about your victory upon victory that the Most High gave you. These are victories that the Most High has given you. These are not your victories. Well, they're yours to receive, but He is the one getting the credit for it. So you commemorate it by saying, this is what the Most High did for me. He helped me get that scholarship that enabled me to advance financially and change the financial picture for generations after me. I got this victory when the Most High helped me with this court case. I got this victory when this and that happened. Why not put it on a plaque and put it on stone? Now we have the technology. Get some laser-edged rock that has the message of your victory. Let it sit forever with your generations. How powerful is that? I think it's more powerful than going into some church building and being given a whitewashed version of the scriptures. Let's write our history. This is where we got to start by. We look at the victories we've had. Even this week, we were just talking about the events that have happened. Some people call them acts of nature. No, it's the Most High who's giving us victory over our enemies. We can record that. We should record that. Now, about our enemies, over the graves of persecutors and blasphemers. Persecutors persecuting the children of Israel. Blasphemers blaspheming against the Most High. And they who shed the blood of the innocent. Who enslaved us? Who lynched us? That's the people. Okay? And at the places of their abominations. Yes, those places we're talking about. Charleston and many others. What are we supposed to do? We will pile rough stones. If you've ever observed when those Ish people are having a funeral, they pile smooth stones on the graves of their loved ones. Why are we being told to pile rough stones? Because those guys were not smooth, they were rough. And we are not going to pile them with smooth stones as if they were clean. No. We are being told to signify and symbolize that they were blasphemers and persecutors of the children of the Most High. So when we pass those places, we should teach our children to pile rough stones so that our children will know which ones are the good memorial stones and which ones are the bad ones. And they can identify them by the type of stones that are piled there. And in fact, when you're piling the rough stones, you mutter curses against the day of the resurrection of damnation of those people. This is to help us and generations after us know who our enemy is, so that they are not tricked over and over again in latter years by the same enemies. You got to know who your enemy is. Otherwise, you're going to be losing your battles every day. And this is how we're being told to label or to identify or to put a mark on our enemies, the persecutors and the blasphemers who shed the blood of the innocent. It's a book of the law. I didn't say it. It's a book of the law. That's what we were instructed to do. And teach your children to add a stone to the pile as they pass by, so that it becomes a very big heap of rough stones that is obvious to anybody, and to curse him that removes the stones and cleaves unto their wickedness. Now, let me quickly go through some scriptures here that give us examples of people setting up monuments. And Jacob rose up early in the morning. This is the episode in Genesis 28 where Jacob slept on a rock or a piece of stone, and he had a dream where he saw ladders with angels of the Most High going up and down from heaven. So this is in the morning. He took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. He even anointed it. Why? Because he was given a revelation. That's what we read in the first point. He was given a revelation that he was at the gate of heaven. There are a lot more interesting things in the following verses here in chapter 28. I encourage you all to read about them. I'm not going to go into them. Let's look. Is it the same one? Oh, I have the same one here. Let me move on to another one. So this is another one. This is in Joshua. Okay. Joshua commanded them, saying, take you hence out of the midst of the Jordan, out of the place where the priest's feet stood firm, 12 stones for the 12 tribes. And you shall carry them over with you and leave them in the lodging place where you shall lodge this night. Farther down, so he told them to grab 12 stones, right? Big stones. They had to carry them on their shoulders. So, and Joshua set up 12 stones in the middle of Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests which bear the ark of the covenant stood, and they are there unto this day. Okay? Joshua was doing what they had been commanded in the book of the law. Set up monuments when the Most High gives you victory, when he delivers you, when he manifests himself to you. You know, Joshua 4:20. And these 12 stones which they took out of Jordan did Joshua pitch in Gilgal. Okay? What you've been told why you're doing this. Joshua said, and he spake unto the children of Isolele, saying, when your children shall ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what mean these stones? Then you shall let your children know, saying, Isolele came over this Jordan on dry land. Okay? This is how we document our history. We set it in stone. You know? Okay. Few more verses here, again in Joshua. Then Joshua built an altar. Oh, this one is interesting. Oh my goodness. Joshua built an altar unto the Most High of Isolele in Mount Ebal. I'll let you in on a little secret here. I think we found this Mount Ebal, but that's a discussion for another day. Anyway, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded the children of Isolele, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of whole stones. So he used whole stones. These are not stones that had been chipped or built by man, you know. Nobody has lifted a chisel or any iron upon them. Now look at what Joshua did. He wrote there upon the stones a copy of the law of Moses. He made a copy on rock, on stone, of the book of the law, or the law of Moses, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Isolele. Joshua did it in the same example of how Moses did it. So when you read the book of Deuteronomy, I bet you Moses probably also wrote it somewhere on stone. Anyway, let me jump on. And all Isolele and their elders and officers and their judges stood on this side the ark, and on that side before the priests, the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Most High. They were doing all this. Joshua was writing all this before the Levites, before the ark of the covenant. This is some serious stuff. Okay, let me finish up with this image that some of you are familiar with. This is Mamre, Cape Town, South Africa. There are some rocks in the middle there. Those are altar. That's an altar. Joshua 13:28. And the Most High again appeared to Abram and said, to thy seed will I give this land. And here, he there built an altar to the Most High, who appeared to him, which is still to this day in the plains of Mamre. Some of you may know this is where we were in February earlier this year. That is exactly it. That is the altar Abraham built. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share if you find this content helpful.